Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Danny Lee Porsche Cup. It is round 4 of the season, and we are at the world-famous Sebring for a 45-minute race and plenty of drama in store for tonight. I'm your host, Matthew Duffing, joining back live with Alexa Marshall. It's been 2 weeks, or 2 races, since I was last in the box for the Danny Lee Porsche Cup. But Alexa, great to be back with you in the commentary box tonight. It's going to be a fantastic night's worth of racing around this fantastic circuit.
Welcome with you. Indeed it is going to be, and of course this is a big thing coming into this race here into round number 4. We go back to the singular 45-minute race format after the 2 25-minute races we had last time out, and we have had 4 different winners over this season so far, and it's going to be an interesting one to see if any more drivers are going to be racking up and into the points and getting an extra race win today, as of course it's Sebring. It is a very big track. There's plenty of space to make moves. The only question is who's going to be out braking and who's going to pick up those points.
Yep, on this fantastic, wonderful layout here, it is going to be a fantastic night's worth of action. 3.7 miles long. Plenty of corners and thrills and spills to go through with tonight's races, and of course the 3 different categories in store for us all here tonight, with the AM class, the Pro class and the Elite class out there on the track. As we are in the practice session, we've got about 15-14 minutes left of that practice session left to go then before the qualifying comes up thick and fast. And what a circuit this provides to be. 22 degrees track temp, partly cloudy, so we've got a good bit of weather around today, and we've got some fantastic drivers out there, all in them different categories respectively as well. One person I want to mention at the minute, Mike Pierce, currently the AM driver based on iRating, currently is at 13th place overall at the moment, mixed it with a few of the pros and the elite drivers he's ahead of, so currently setting some good pace out there for the AM driver. But of course we've got a stacked grid, and in fact it is only a second that covers the top 15 drivers, so Mike Pierce within that spot as well, so he's in for a good bit of action tonight. What defines them drivers we'll tell you momentarily, because Corey Lazarus is the championship leader on 268 points from Felix Votter, 254. Chris van der Niese is on 207 from Alejandro de la Flor, P4. He's on 203. Luke Andrews is 5th place with Oscar Berndsen in P6. Elias Finoli is 7th place with Daniel Lee himself, P8. George Tyler, P9. Matt Strand is in 10th place. Stefan Bosch and Simon Mazzomo rounding out the top 12 in that championship standings. As we go over them to the pro category, it is Dean Powell who leads the way from Luke Blow. Steve Clays is P3 from Wiley Blair. Christopher McDuff from Jesper Burns. Then it is Edric Reyes from Karen Beddy. Rhys Saunders from Ben Altria. And then it is Shannon Fever and Bruno Tiago. I can't quite read that. It's a bit blurred out on my screen. Is he on the driver's list? I can't quite make out the bottom bit. Serranio Bautista. I do believe that is what that is saying there. Can't quite make that out. It's a bit blurry.
Would be correct. It is Bruno Tiago. And we go over to the AM standings. It is Ricardo Luis Pereira who currently sits up top in the amateur class. It is 246 points to his name, with Mike Pierce in P number 2, 243. It's then Martin Kenyon in P number 3 with Jeremy Walsh P number 4, Grimmy Vivas in P number 5 with Ed Junker P number 6, Andrew Fellows P number 7 with Avesta Gobardi in P number 8, with Cisco Rodriguez in P number 9, and Clive Davis runs out the top 10 with Samuel Clark in P11 and Uday Kunti in P number 12. Of course, majority of these drivers being within the 100 points in each of their categories, as we've got slightly over 10 minutes remaining here in this practice session, and it is going to be Luke Andrews who currently sits up top with a 2-minute 1:973. But like you were saying, Matthew, that top 15 not separated by much.
Well, they're not indeed, and obviously this race marks the halfway stage of the season, does Sebring. Before we head to Snetterton in 2 weeks' time, we've got the Virginia International Raceway round 6, Most Sports round 7, and then we head to the Nordschleife to complete the season on the 20th of June, so just a little under a month away before, sorry, July, I suppose that's meant to say, it's a typo on our Discord there. So just a little under 2 months away from that one. Halfway stage of the season tonight at Sebring, and what a better place for this, I suppose, midway point really, where drivers are going to start to look at them championship standings a little bit more heading into the back few rounds, especially when we've got only 2 more tracks, the Most Sport race and the Snetterton round, where it's 2 25-minute races. So we're really going to be looking at these 45-minute races for drivers to capitalise, because there's less points on offer as this season ticks by. But with Sebring just coming towards the end of its practice session, you see it is a lovely, lovely day here. And don't worry about the track limits on that particular corner. It catches a few people out, but that is absolutely fine there. If you see a few off tracks, you're not going to be mistaken. Obviously, Old Airfield, I do believe Sebring is. So bumpy layout. And we've got a tricky race in store, I think, in these Porsche Cup cars. It's going to be a challenge tonight.
It's going to be a challenge, but this is also a key thing with this circuit compared to the last round. We were at Donington Park last time out, which there is a lot of greenery around you. You go off track, you're going to be going into the grass, and you're going to be sliding a little bit. Whereas here at Sebring, there's a lot of tarmac, or what looks more like concrete, but it really is just tarmac. And it's an interesting one when it comes down to it, because you can see the grass here, but it's mainly a flat surface when you do end up going off the circuit. And of course, they've had 2 weeks to practice, a good old fortnight. Ooh. But you do see Dean Powell there having a bit of a moment. Rear end seeming to slip out on him as he went through that left-hander, and it's just an unfortunate moment there for him as we go over to Oscar Bernson, who is currently out there setting a lap time. But I want to get your opinion on this, Matthew, because you know this track more than I do, because this is my first time commentating on this track ever, and of course you know Donington Park very well. So what do you think the key differences are going to be and the key challenges are going from Donington Park last round to now this round here at Sebring?
Oh, there's so many differences. For one, Sebring, so bumpy, very difficult to get it right under the brake, and especially when you hit the bumps. I know Donington Park's not the smoothest of circuits, but Donington used all year round. You've got to think Sebring's used not as much as Donington Park would be. So, you know, it's not your traditional race circuit, is Sebring. It's a brilliant track. It's one of the world's greatest circuits, but it is so different to all of them. Sebring is like Le Mans and the Nordschleife. They're not your traditional racetrack. They are unique and different and special. It's hard to compare between the two of that of Donington Park and here, as we're on board with Shannon Fever. Currently sits P12, the silver driver, as you could tell, the pro driver, as you could tell, the categories on the side. The gold markers next to the position numbers means elite, the silver means pro, and the bronze means the AM drivers. And you'll see that Mike Pearce, still at 14th place, 9/10 off the pole, is an AM driver, and he is well clear, you have to say, by the way, nearly some 1.2 seconds clear of his fellow competitor in bronze, that of Kenyon.
We did see some stuff like this at Donington Park last week. Mike Pearce, actually, one of those drivers who can really get up there. And it's a key factor when it comes down to it, because of course we don't have a second race around here, around this circuit, but because we've only got one 45-minute race. But if you are able to get an AM driver or even a pro driver up there near the top, mixed in with the elite drivers, it can really throw about the field a little bit, because not in a harsh way, but if you've got someone up there who is a bit slower than you, but then you've got someone who's about on the same pace behind you, you've got to juggle of, this guy behind me could overtake me, but I've got to get past this guy in front of me as quickly as possible. But if I go for that attack, then there's a chance I'm going to lose out behind, as we see Bosch go above Tyler from P number 8 to P number 7 with that slight improvement. But right now it's Luke Andrews who sits up top, the Brit, and followed by the Swede of Burnson, and then Daniel Lee, who is P number 4 now, as that is going to be Tyler who goes to the top. That is George Tyler for Cube Controls at Rapato course, as they are now up at the top. A 2-minute 1:9.71 by 2 thousandths of a second, Matthew.
Pretty tight out there, isn't it? At the moment out there, it's under a tenth between the top 5. So any of them 5 will be up for this race. In fact, any of our drivers out there will be up for the race. And obviously it's points per class, not points for overall finish in this race. So it is a race win in Pro, Elite and in the AM category. So although you can find yourself racing against the different categories, it is all about that Elite, Pro and AM race win. There you see at the top of your timing screen is the pole, or is the fastest time, should I say, for each category of Elite, Pro and AM. Well, we have a moment just before the end of practice. We'd like to thank our title sponsor of GT Omega for their enormous support of the series. GT Omega is a Scottish company and the UK's leading supplier of sim racing cockpits, gaming chairs and essential gaming accessories. Delivering to the UK, EU and US, they offer a range of excellent value sim racing cockpits from beginner to advanced. Furthermore, you can get 5% off all GT Omega products with discount code Danny Lee, all in capitals. Check out their full range at gtomega.co.uk, gtomega.eu or gtomega.com. Also, just a quick note on that 3 lots of GT Omega £100 vouchers will be awarded to the top 3 competitors at the end of the season in a draw. So worth playing for there, because you're gonna could be with a chance of winning that £100 voucher if you're obviously in this series. And we're seeing now Bosch has just improved to make it the top 6 within a tenth of a second. And here is Stefan Bosch, the Swiss driver, in the lovely blue and orange livery, and it looks like he's in a small little race with whoever's just behind him as he goes already at the moment. And so far it has been a pretty enthralling practice session at the moment. And if you've been anywhere today, if you've watched any of the motorsport today, whether that's in the United Kingdom of the British touring cars, whether you watch the Formula 1, whether you're currently watching the Indy 500, you're not going to want to miss the Danny Lee Porsche Cup right now. That is for sure, because these next 45 minutes of racing is going to provide some action.
And we will get to see some action. I mean, one thing we can already confirm with this circuit is that there's going to be more overtakes around here than there was in Monaco. So that's going to be a key factor with it, especially with these Porsches. Nice and small when it comes in conjunction with this circuit. It's so wide. When you look at cars like the prototypes and the GTEs, they can be a bit bigger, but these cars really are quite small for the circuit that they are racing on. And you can only wonder how many overtakes, how much action that is going to cause, as well as possibly quite a bit of chaos. As just as we saw Christopher McDuff there through the left-hander, you could see behind him just how wide the circuit can get, Matthew.
One thing to note with this track though, Lexi, obviously you're kind of learning as you're going along here. the bumps on these cars with no traction control could really catch you out. 1 under the braking and 2 on acceleration. So you've really got to be careful, especially in towards turn 1. It is crucial to not be too greedy on the throttle tonight, because that could really, 1, ruin a qualifying lap for you, or 2, ruin your race.
I mean, that's the key thing. What you mentioned this before. That's one of the key things you're going to have to look out for tonight. I would say, considering this is the halfway mark of the season, qualifying is going to be a very big factor, especially going into this race. Like, yes, there's lots of places to overtake, but the bumps as well. So you can only wonder as Gabadi goes up at a P number 19 there, as we're currently watching Christopher McDuff still. The bumps are going to be a key factor, and qualifying can really set you up, especially at the halfway point, because with qualifying, you can see where you are compared to your other paces. So looking at these elite drivers, I'm gonna take them for example. The top 8 of the lead, well, top 7, separated by 0.114 in the top 7, whereas at the start of the season, that split may have been a lot bigger. So many of these drivers may be looking at qualifying halfway through the season compared to round number 1, and they can see where they've improved and possibly what they can improve on going into the second half of the season.
On board with Felix Votter at the moment, who's down in P7 at the moment, coming in towards turn 1, and through he goes. You just see how bumpy it is, and you want to be careful, like we said all session long at the moment. In towards turn 2 you go then. No real name to these corners at the moment. This little section, very, very tricky to get right. You're then coming down this little bit, Gurney Bend as it's known, before you head towards the middle sector of the lap time. Through Gurney Bend you go. You're going to come down this straightaway now, hitting towards the hairpin turn, but after, it's not your traditional hairpin turn where you come back on yourself, because it flicks left pretty much straight away and then back to the right. It's a hairpin that turns into a little chicane. Now you're coming through the Fangio chicane a little quicker through here as you start through the left and then get ready to turn it to the right. It's not your traditional chicane either. Down now into Cunningham Corner, and a tricky one to get right. I've seen drivers overshoot it through there. Into Collier Curve you come now, a hurry up and wait kind of corner as you wait to get the power down. Heavy braking zone again into Tower Turn now. Again, you see in these curves a little raised here just to add to that bumpiness on the apex of the corners. You're on the Flying Fortress straight, and you've got a little bit of breathing time as we end the practice session there. So we're not able to finish the flying lap, sadly. You then get to Bishop's Bend, and then you come down towards the Le Mans curve before hitting the Ullman Straight, Sunset Bend, back down the start-finish line. So it was an interesting practice session that was separated by a second within the top 15, maybe just over actually, towards the end of that. But it's now a 15-minute qualifying session, and it's vital to get a good qualifying session. Dean Powell, first man out on the circuit, the pro driver out there at the moment. Let's see what he can do as he's going to come through to be on his current outlap. Crucial to get tyres and brakes all up into a good window on this outlap. You want to make sure you're fully prepared to go in this qualifying session, and Dean Powell for the Danny Lee Racing Team is one that we're going to keep our eyes on at the moment. No team points, obviously, they're just a part of them teams. In general, it's all individuals out there on the circuit racing against each other. It's just nice to see what kind of teams they come from and where they come from as well. Plenty of privateers out there as well. But Dean Powell, your first man out on the track, Lexi, to start this qualifying.
Currently on his outlap. At the very end of free practice, we did saw Elias Spinoli, who went up the top there with Corey Lazarus as well. So those two jumping up right at the end in free practice to give an idea of where the elite drivers may be. Of course, Dean Powell, we were just watching in the 177, is a pro driver. Elias Spinoli right now is, of course, a elite driver, and that's decided by the iRacing. But looking at it, it's only really a 4/10 split between the categories from what we saw in free practice. So 4/10 between elite and pro, then another 4/10 between pro and am. And that's just one of the things which it can come down to. But of course, that's only free practice. We don't know what they were doing in that free practice. They may have been running race fuel, Matthew. They may have been running quali fuel. So maybe getting acclimatized to the circuit. That's going to be a key thing when it comes through this, as we do currently watch Jeremy Walsh, who is a amateur driver. So we've got 3 different visuals on 3 different drivers so far on all the different categories as they now begin their laps here at the here at the Sebring circuit.
Yep, Jerry Moore coming into the final corner now, and this is probably going to be one of the best overtaking opportunities out into this corner, maybe getting the exit is Jeremy Walsh. Well, that's not the way to prepare for your opening lap of qualifying. He'll return to his pit box and he'll be able to come back out. Luke Andrews is on the circuit, currently out there on, I believe, a flying lap. Yes, he is. And this is going to be an interesting one to see what he can do then as drivers have started them. Luke Andrews for Cube Controls Reporto Corsa. Down with this in towards the hairpin turn. He comes, number 59 on the car. Blue and black livery there. And he's now going to come in towards that middle part of the lap. This is where you can win or lose a lot of time through here, because you want to try and take this as flat as you can and make sure that you get good entries, good exits as he brakes hard now down in towards Tower Turn. Now, down in towards the Collier Curve. It was Cunningham Corner into Collier Curve. Now down in towards Tower. And this is going to be crucial for this next part of the lap. You've got the Flying Fortress straight now. He has a little wiggle on exit there, as you just see him apply the power, and the rear end just wanted to step out a little bit. Be greedy on this curve on the inside. And again, greedy again. Going on to the runoff on the outside after you come through this bend. There you go. Right off the track. Open the corner up. Through you go. Down the Ullman Straight. Through Le Mans Curve. And that's going to be the crucial thing. How far can them drivers, just on the entry to Le Mans Curve, how far can they open up that corner before you get classed as an off-track or a track limits violation? In towards the Sunset Bend we go now. And this, for Luke Andrews, will be the opening lap of the qualifying session. Keeps it tight for the first part. Brings it out towards the pit wall. Didn't go right out there. I've seen drivers get a little closer than that, but he goes and sets a 2-minute 2, which is instantly beaten by Luke Andrews. Sorry, that was Dean Powell who did the 2-minute 2. Luke Andrews beats that. Felix Votter goes and does a 2-minute 1.6. Has already gone nearly a second quicker as Stefan Bosch now moves up into second place. Junker into sixth, the first of the AM drivers. Dean Powell, quickest of the pro drivers. Felix Votter, the quickest in elite. There's Danny Lee with Elias Finoli moving up to second place. Alejandro Della Flor now up into fourth. Lap times, Lexi, coming in thick and fast.
Coming in thick and fast, as you can see them pop up on the left-hand side of your screen. Key thing with qualifying, though, Matthew, we've only got 4 laps per driver here in the qualifying sessions. So that's going to be a key factor when it comes down to it. So if you do have a spin and you have to go back to the garage, that is going to be a lap, possibly 2 wasted, and you're going to have to hope. And you're going to have to hope for the best that you're going to get another lap in, as we see Clay's going to P number 11 for Pro. That'll put him third in that class with Martin Kenyon in P number 10, rounding out the overall top 10. Top in the amateur class, Corey Lazarus gets his first lap time on the board, being P number 16 overall, as Tyler, who goes P number 9, 1.0878 off the top time currently, which is set by Felix Votter, a 2-minute 1.619, and it is going to be an interesting one, as that is going to be Luke Blow who gets a lap time on the board now, and that's P number 10, 1.124 off the top time. It's the German of Felix Votter at the top at this moment. Elias Finoli P number 2 in the Swede, and then the man from Switzerland is Stefan Bosch P number 3.
13 drivers yet to set a lap time at the moment, and like Lexi said there, you only get them 4 laps in qualifying. Here's Graham Vivers at the moment coming down the back straight to complete his first lap. Yes, it is his first lap. The amateur driver from the United Kingdom turns in towards the final corner. And how far out towards the pit wall, towards that tyre wall, is he going to go as Andrews goes up into second place and Burton moves up into P5. Here comes Graham Vivers in the AM League and crosses the line and goes up to P21 overall, moving himself into third place as Ed Junker moves up to 15th place. Now, here is Finoli out the final corner again, just under half a second off the pole, gets towards the line. Any improvement on that time? Yes, there is. Moves himself within half a tenth now, so finds 4.5 tenths in that lap, and he's very, very close now to Felix Votter as lap times are coming in. Christopher McDuff moves up to 7th place in that pro category. Now Matt Strand moves up to 7th, the elite driver. So it's Felix Votter, your current elite pole position. Christopher McDuff is your pro pole position, and Martin Kenyon is your AM pole position at the moment, as Steve Clays comes across 14th place, and Edric Reyes P19. And I knew the name Steve Clays from somewhere. Commentated on him last Monday.
That's where it was. As of course, we'll keep it updated because unfortunately Matthew did miss the last 2 rounds. One thing I'm going to mention: Road Atlanta. Felix Votter, that was the last time we had a 45-minute race before we went Donington last round. So, of course, season so far has been Silverstone, Road Atlanta, Donington, and now Sebring. And Felix Votter, last time in a 45-minute race, was absolutely rapid. He left that domination on another level. So it's going to be interesting to see what he will be able to do tonight, as he may be a driver who absolutely loves these 45-minute races and getting out in front with plenty of clean air. The bumps may be something that may hinder him a little bit. For the pole promotions esports team is Felix Votter, the man from Germany. But right now, he's sitting up there nice and comfy, but Finoli, Andrews, Bosch and Delafleur are all going to be looking to catch him as soon as possible. Elias Finoli, key factor, is there right within a 10th.
Felix Votter is the highest iRating out there on the grid tonight, as Burton and Powell move up to 6th and 7th, while we're just coming towards the back end of qualifying. Race Anywhere is a supporting sponsor. Thank you to Race Anywhere for their support of the series. Race Anywhere provides curated high-quality sim racing equipment for the perfectionist. Based in Daventry in the United Kingdom, but delivering worldwide. Specialising in Sim Magic, Cubic Controls, Sparko, Cobra, Pro Simrig and more. Visit their showroom to experience exceptional sim racing equipment and take your order home with you, or order online at raceanywhere.co.uk, delivering globally. Another one of our fantastic partners, as here is Corey Lazarus in towards the final corner now, and this is going to be an interesting race. Obviously, as Alexa said, I have missed the last 2. I was at Donington Park for Road Atlanta, and then last time out at Donington Park my son was unwell, so I had to be there for him. As Lazarus moves up within a 10th and a half for Felix Votter. Votter did improve on his last run, but what a start this, what a qualifying session this has been. Not as close, you're noticing, in that qualifying timing tower at the moment, which would suggest that maybe some drivers was doing a bit more of a higher fuel run in the practice session, and that's where we had a bit more of a jumbled up grid in that. And this is Gabadi in P12 overall, P1 for the AM driver, the Ukrainian man himself. 1.1 off the pole, and pretty much, what's that, 4/10, just over 4/10 clear of second place in that AM category of Pierce. So a great little qualifying at the moment for Avesta.
Yeah, and to be honest, last time out in Donington, he also had a good race. If I do remember correctly, it was Gabadi who was right in the middle of the elite and pro drivers after the reverse in race number 2. He was in there for a solid 10 minutes, putting up a defense game. So considering if my information is correct, and he's going to be riding a high from that, knowing that he does have the pace to defend and attack when he needs to, I would say that's going to be a little bit of a motivation boost going into this round. He sits P number 12 overall. Like Matthew said, just about 4, maybe just under 5 tenths right now against Mike Pierce, who is currently coming on another lap, and he comes through. Where is he going to go? He sits P number 18 currently. The Brit trying to improve as much as possible, as we see McDuff now go ahead of Gabadi as they now go over to P number 12. Gabadi down into P number 13. As one thing to point out, the elite driver of Mazomo is currently sat P number 17, Matthew, whilst the next lowest elite driver is sat in P number 11. Mazomo will definitely be looking for an improvement as Mike Pierce goes across the line, gets a little improvement over to P number 16.
Yeah, up into P number 16 there. Mazomo, like I said, the elite driver is down the order. Tyler moves up to P9 as drivers are completing their final runs. Here is Simon Mazomo, the elite category driver. And if you're wondering, if you're new to the Daniel Lee Cup, what separates elite from pro from AM? Well, it is the iRating. If you're an AM class, you're an iRating of 1,000 to 2,000. The Pro class is 2,000 to 3,000 iRating, and Elite class is 3,000 plus. And if you're wondering what Felix Votter is, seeing as he is the highest iRating on this championship, and he's got an iRating of 9,619. So that shows you the work that Felix Votter's put in, as Mizomo now comes in towards Le Mans curve for the final run in this qualifying session for him. Down the back straight he comes now. He's got one corner left to go, and it could be make or break. We've seen drivers off there already in the practice session and in this qualifying session itself. So for Mizomo, he'll want to be up on the elite drivers at the start of this race. He's not going to want the silver and the pro and the AMs in between him. He's going to want to be up there, and he bails on his final run. So he's not going to improve on that 18th place. Blair could improve though. This is Vivas down the order. Graham coming towards the line, 27th place. Is he going to find any more time out there on the track at the moment? I believe the answer to that one is no. He stays P27. And here is Kechos at the moment down in 32nd place. The Greek driver coming through towards the back part of the track now. Where's this? Just coming up towards Le Mans we head now. 4.2 off the pole at the moment. Needs to find 0.3 of a second to get himself ahead of Ludbrook, though.
That's the time that he's going to be trying to find. It looked like his last lap was a slower one. His best lap time at the current moment is a 2:05.616. Still trying to get that improvement. Wants to get past Ludbrook. Of course, the AM drivers, they're all very realistically, they are quite bunched up when you look into it. But it's going to be an interesting one as Fotis Kechos comes through the final corner, pushing it as wide as he possibly likes. Comes across, goes to the line. Fotis Kechos stays P number 32, it seems. No, he bumps up one place in the P number 31, getting a slight improvement, a 2:04.825 as he has a moment, and rear end goes straight into the barrier. I don't think the mechanics are going to be happy about that, as they have to get it ready for race time as we wait for the classification, because that is qualifying done and dusted.
It is qualifying done and dusted then here for round 4 of the season at Sebring. Then we'll bring you the full classification as and when we have it. What we can tell you is Felix Votter is on pole position. So a great start to this qualifying session ahead of that 45-minute race. And it gives us a chance, I do believe, to possibly get another sponsor shout out in before the grid comes up. So to Coach Dave Delta, thank you to Coach Dave Academy for their support of the series. Coach Dave Delta with Auto Insights is a setup, data analysis and AI coaching app for iRacing, Assetto Corsa Competizione and Le Mans Ultimate and even Gran Turismo 7. Remove the mystery and stay ahead of your rivals with Delta by Coach Dave. Go to coachdave.academy.com. This is a side note as well, that all entrants have been offered 1 month coupon for Coach Dave Delta subscription, and Danny will be sharing lap data and analysis using the Delta app. So that's great to see all these drivers, Lexi, being given this data and being given the chance to just look into a little bit more of where they're possibly going wrong or what's happening with their car, where they can find more time.
Most definitely, as I do believe we are getting ready for the grid order to pop up, so we will give it a few moments. In fact, no, we won't, because Matthew, don't forget, we've got a slight little warm-up, I believe. Yes, we do, between qualifying and the race, which we did unfortunately forget, but we got a 5-minute warm-up coming up. So most of these drivers possibly checking out the final bits of the setups, doing a few tweaks after qualifying, and this is going to give them a good chance to get a little bit more acclimatization, but sometimes we don't always see all the drivers going out there on the circuit.
Yeah, it's just a chance for drivers to stretch their legs and maybe just have the chance to maybe tweak a few things on the setup, maybe just test the balance of the car with the fuel on board. This is going to be something where only they will know what they're doing. Others may not even go out, let's not forget. This is just a quick warm-up session in between qualifying and the race. So these drivers may not even feel the need to go out if they are pretty comfortable so far.
I mean, that's the thing. You want to get comfortable with your car, and in fact, you want to get comfortable with everything. Who knows? Maybe some of the drivers who don't go out there during the warm-up, maybe going to go downstairs and have a brew if you're from the United Kingdom, or maybe a quick break to step out, stretch your legs, and get ready for the racing action to come, because let's be honest, Matthew, I would not be surprised if majority, almost all of these drivers have a sim rig.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine that any of these are sats, PC chairs or anything. It's a pretty serious process when you're on iRacing. I'm sure they're not racing on a computer chair with wheels like somebody I know who may be sat in this commentary box. I'm not sure though. You've got a rig now yourself, Lexi.
Yeah, recently. Well, I call it a rig. Well, we call it a rig. It's a TV stand, a wheel stand, which then has a wooden frame put into it and a chair drilled into the wood. So it's a DIY sim. It's a DIY sim rig, yeah. Well, let's be honest. Can't beat a DIY sim rig for your first rig.
Exactly, it's a starter kit, isn't it, to get it going? It's either way. It's going to be an interesting race here at Sebring as we come towards the end of this warm-up session. There is just over 2 minutes left in it. But Lexi, what are we expecting in this race? I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think we're going to be in for a real treat here today. 45 minutes of a fantastic circuit in Porsche Cup cars with over 30 cars, just over 30 cars on the grid. I think we've got a real stacked field here.
Right now we are looking at a car in the grass. I do believe that is going to be Shannon Fever as they now RTG back to the garage. Luckily enough, didn't need to get the tow truck out because you can do a quick teleport and none of the other drivers will need to move out of the way. As we're currently watching over the gantry, as we see plenty of drivers going through there right now. And the rest of this, it's a very interesting circuit as we look around it. Of course, like you said, Matthew, former airfield, very, very bumpy. Also got those few spots of grass in there. So it's going to be an interesting one as we do get the helicopter cam, and it's an interesting circuit. For my first time doing this, for me, it may be a bit controversial, but I get Hungaroring mixed with Hockenheim.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. Yeah, in a way, I kind of see that. I just think it's unique, like the Nordschleife and Le Mans. We have got Heather Hart in the chat. Good afternoon to yourself. Jamal Clouden, good evening. Jamal Mac Attack is also in there. Steve Clays himself. Maxim Racing, Wesley Hart, and DXT_Rob is also in the comments section. If you have any comments or questions, get them in, and me and Lexi will try our best to answer them. And we are about to get ready to go racing here at Sebring. So we've got two more we'll get through. We'll get through another one quickly now. We'll try and do one in the race. Grid Engineering is a supporting sponsor. Thank you to Grid Engineering by SimLab for their support of the series. Grid Engineering provides a wide range of top-tier sim racing products, including Porsche licensed equipment, to provide the ultimate motorsport experience in your simulator. Find the full range at gridengineering.com. On a side note to that one Porsche 911 GT3 Cup console will be awarded to one of the competitors at the end of the season in a draw. So that's two draws that we could see drivers take home some fantastic bit of prizes there at the end of the season.
Lots of drivers in draws here, as I do believe we are about to get ready to go action, as I'll let you take us through it, Matthew.
We are then. The grid order is as follows. Felix Votter on pole position from Corey Lazarus with Elias Finoli, Stefan Bosch, Luke Andrews, Danny Lee P6. Alejandro Delaflor 7th from Oscar Berntsen with George Tyler P9. P10 is Dean Powell. He is also pole position in the pro category. 11th is Matt Strand with Christopher McDuff, 12th place overall but second in pro. 13th place is Avesta Gabodi. He is pole position in the AM category, starting 13th. Shannon Fever from Steve Clays with Mike Pierce. Luke Blow, Simon Mizomo with Wiley Blair. Edric Reyes, Martin Kenyon, Rhys Saunders, Jesper Burns, Ed Junker, rounding out the top 24. 25th place for Samuel Clark with Brian Alvarez. Graham Vivers from Andrew Fellows. Jeremy Walsh down the order with the fellow other drivers. As the lights all come on now, the revs rise and it's green and go here at Sebring. Who gets the best of getaways? Felix Votter gets a decent start from P2, but that looks like it's Finoli who's already jumped in before turn 1. So a heck of a start from Finoli. Hopefully that's not a jump, because he's got right around the 2 leaders already as they come through the bumpy turn 1 section in towards turn 2. There you go now. Everybody looks through squeaky clean at the moment, and Felix Votter dropping backwards as Lazarus gets the jump on him into turn 2 as well. There's Delaflor and Luke Andrews going wheel to wheel, coming in towards the middle part of the opening sector now. Delaflor makes the move on Andrews pretty nicely. Gabodi's moved into the top 10. He is the AM driver, let's not forget. He's ahead of Powell now, who's the leading pro driver as well. Here is Danny Lee down in 6th place, looking to the outside of Andrews as they come in towards the hairpin turn. He's now got to worry about Berntsen going up the inside, and gets the move done, does Berntsen. But already a great start from Finoli, the Swede, pulling away.
Only starts to pull away. Kura Lazarus P2, Felix Votter P number 3. Berntsen actually one of the 4 race winners here this season. Lovely move there. Around the outside of Daniel Lee as we see the rest of these drivers coming through. Avesta Gabardi, like you said, Matthew, an amazing start. As we see Reese getting past Burns and Saunders, past Mike Pierce. A little bit further back, you can see all the drivers coming through, but so far it's been a nice and clean lap number 1. But the other Porsche, I do believe that is going to be Reese right up against the bumper of Willie Bear, and they are up against each other. They are wanting that place, as you can see in the background as well. 2 teammates looking right in, got a car in the middle of them, creating a bit of a sandwich as we now head through. You look at Luke Blow, who is on an attack mode, but he's also got to be careful because he's got Vivas right behind him, and he's got Mike Pierce and Vivas behind. He's got Mike Pierce in front of him, Vivas behind him, Luke Blow, the pro, in an AM sandwich right now as Vivas is at a moment, and they go off into the barrier, and that is not how you want to go towards the end of lap number 1, Matthew.
Yeah, Graham Vivas there. I'm not sure if he's hit the wall or not. Car looks okay on the front end, but Delaflor now 4th place, putting Felix Votter under a little bit of pressure, but Votter as well putting Lazarus under some pressure as there's cars in the background just pulling out. That is Delaflor in the green and black, defending from Andrews, as Votter's going to sit and patiently wait behind that of Lazarus as they come through to start lap number 2. 2.5 minutes gone in this first lap of the race, and a great start. Graham Vivas having a bit of a moment. It's been pretty nice and clean all the way through this. That then is Reece Saunders, who collects this back as they have a bit of a spinner. Not sure who that is with. That is with Luke Blow. And another moment for somebody else in the background. But that was all a little argy-bargy coming in towards turn 2. That is the Greek driver of Kachios there then. Who has had a moment all on his own, it looked like, but Saunders and Blow coming to blows in that one. Gabodi, the AM driver, still running in that P10. Martin Kenyon now, 22nd overall, on the back of Saunders, trying to capitalise on that little hip and shoulder move that he had through turn 2. This is Kenyon with Clark and Walsh behind him, attacking the pro driver of Saunders as they come through down in towards the middle sector. And you have to say, it's a pretty good opening stage of this race. A little bit of argy-bargy out there, though, Lexi, at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's the racing that you like to see. They've been wheel to wheel and they've had side-by-sides. So far, we've only seen 2 cars lose it what seems like on their own accord, and that is Ludbrook, who is in the pit lane. I believe that may have just jinxed it. We will get a replay here. What has happened to Ludbrook? Was it on his own, or was it contact with the car behind, coming down into the braking zone, into the right-hander, and possibly spins the rears into the barrier, and that is damage straight back to the pit lane. I don't think he was happy with that one.
No, I think he's just messed out there as Felix Votter looking to the outside now of P number 2 with that of Lazarus. Tucks back in behind. We have lost Ben Altria in this race, as well as Ludbrook is still in the pit lane. I don't think they're going to be back in this race. Votter, though, to the outside of Lazarus in towards turn 1, side by side fully. Here we go in the Porsche cars. Towards turn 2 now. Felix Votter will just have the inside line with this little kink, left just enough space there by Lazarus, and Lazarus will hang on into that position. Andrews now, who's got past Delaflor, is going to look to try and attack the back of Votter. This will all help Finoli out, who's going to try and pull away at the front of this queue at the moment. And already a good start in this race for Finoli. He did the job on the opening corner, but Votter trying to attack Lazarus. Once again, he's going to be on the outside line for the hairpin turn. Is he going to look for that up and under? He's going to try and keep it round the outside. Doesn't get the run on the exit. Lazarus stays where he is at the moment, but he's full defensive mode right now because Votter is on attack.
was right on him, and so far this season, these two have had a very similar story. Decent races in Silverstone for round number 1 in both of the races. In round number 2 at Road Atlanta in a 45-minute race, it would be Felix Votter who would fly away into the distance. But then it was, of course, Corey Lazarus at Donington Park. So these two drivers, very similar stories this season, and now here at Sebring, they are starting to clash here in the opening stages. You can see in the bottom right, there's a battle for first. Finoli, Lazarus, Votter, Andrews, Delafleur. But right now, it seems like it's just these two are going to absolute blows. As you can see how close Felix Votter is as we ride on board with the helmet cam. As you can see the little bits of rubber being picked up and thrown into the air, possibly hitting the windshield. But it's an interesting one as we come down into this final hairpin, into this final corner. Maybe a dive on the inside, but he's going to play it safe. He's not going to risk it as we go through the right-hander now. Keep it as close as possible, as actually we are a lot earlier in the lap. Oh no, I was correct. As right now on the exit, I'm closing in as much as possible. That slipstream is what Felix Votter is wanting down this main straight, Matthew.
He is indeed coming into turn 1. You can just see how bumpy it is. The car bouncing all over the place, gets as close to the wall on the inside of turn 1 as possible. And Votter now going to look to try and just still mount and attack. The bonus for Votter is it's not the 2 sprint races, so he's not going to make the ground up straight away. But he can't let Finoli pull off into the distance. He wants to get the work done. It's a long lap. It's 2 minutes a lap pretty much here with the race fuel. 2 minute 2 a lap is the best lap of the race. So the drivers are going to want to make sure they keep cautious, as there is a spinner. That is Jeremy Walsh, who has had a moment with, I'm not sure who that is, that of Kachios in the red and black Porsche. Kachios just comes across on the orange and black Porsche there, and they come together, and into the wall goes Kachios. They're a little bit silly from the 2 arms down the back of the grid. Didn't really need to happen, but they've come to blows. And that is what it is. Kachios will have to regain all that time again. And there is Jeremy Walsh, who was involved in that incident. 25th place overall at the moment. Gabodi still 11th, leading the AM category so far. Kenyon, I believe, is the next car in that AM category, who is second place down in 21st. So Gabodi doing a terrific job at the moment. And Jeremy Walsh is now coming under pressure from Alvarez and that of Blow, the pro category driver, just behind, as they enter lap number 4, 7.5 minutes gone, approaching 8 minutes, should I say, in this 45-minute race. Here is Dean Powell gaining on the back of Gabodi, your leader in the pro class at the moment. So come through Le Mans curve on towards the back straight again, and a spinner in the background. That is Shannon Fever, who has gone right around. I'm not sure if it was all on her own. Just brushes the wall as they try to get the car spinning around. Felix Votter's got ahead of Lazarus out front as well. Or he hasn't just yet. They're side by side through the final corner. Over the line they're going to come now. Votter still on the outside of that of Lazarus. He did get ahead just momentarily on the timing tower. And can he keep it there through turn 1? He's going to lose out. And he's going to have to slot back in because turn 2 comes up. That's another right-hander in just a moment. He's going to try and look round the outside. I've got the feeling that Lazarus is going to force this one to stay P2. He does look, pushing Felix Votter onto the grass and opening the door for Luke Andrews.
Yes, slight tap on the front left bumper, you could see there. Through goes Luke Andrews, at least for now. He's going to be right there with him, trying to hold on to that place. He does fly through, so I think Felix Votter is not going to be happy about that, and he is going to be wanting to get through as quickly as possible. But it seems like the rivalry between Lazarus and Felix Votter may be heating up a lot quicker than we expected as Tyler gets past Bosch a little bit further back, as Powell finally gets past Gabardi. It's Finoli leads, Lazarus P2, now Luke Andrews P number 3. Here comes Gabardi though, not going to give it up, and he's going to come through, trying to get back. He's trying to get back on up and past Powell, as he doesn't want to give it up and he doesn't want to let you down. As into the braking zone, into the right hander, here comes Clays. He tries to go around, he doesn't want to desert him, but it looks like that's just going to be unlucky, as Steve Clays is still right there. He may bide his time. The Belgium still trying to make their way through.
Yeah, he is, and I'm wondering if Felix Votter's got a bit of a slowdown there because he dropped off the back. This is a replay of what happened. This is on board with Lazarus, who's just pushed that of Felix Votter onto the grass a little bit. And then we come through this part. I'm just wondering if something happened to Lazarus after that little hip and shoulder with Votter. No, it didn't. That was just a replay of behind. This is Votter, look. So you've got Lazarus on the left. You're coming towards turn 2 now, look. and watch the car just squeeze you onto the grass just there. You see that touch from them both, and that really put Votter out of shape and offline a little bit. And I'm just wondering if he had a bit of a slowdown there. Look, you can see him not really getting through the gears that fast, was a little slow to get away, and I think because he had a bit of an off track, he maybe slowed down to not have gained an advantage. That's harsh because of the fact that he was kind of forced out there a little bit, so Votter lost even more time. Now goes up the inside of Andrews at turn number 1, and Felix Votter through. Was there a little bit of contact there because Andrews hasn't given this one up? He has now, and thinks better to fight another day at the moment. Another battle in the background. This is Stefan Bosch with that of Strand, I do believe. He's just battling with Strand and Tyler. So Bosch in the middle of the two blue and black cars so far. The Swiss driver was up there in the practice session, so possibly going to see some good race pace from him in this race. Lazarus, though, while all this is happening with Finoli and Votter, hasn't really extended his gap out front. And look at this train of cars coming in towards the hairpin turn.
And this is what happens. One driver starts to get in a battle and everybody behind you starts to catch up. That's why you got to bide it. You got to wonder, is this battle going to benefit me for this time, or should I slot in behind and use the slipstream? Because if you start to battle somebody, you're going to be losing time, and those drivers are going to be coming up behind you. As I believe that's a train of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, possibly 9 cars right next to each other, and you can only imagine how that looks on the track map as we get it up there. You can see it right there. Look how many cars are nose to tail all along that line. But it's an interesting one as we see Alejandro De La Flor, who is currently on a defensive. Battle for P number 5 is underway. The Spaniard having to defend from the Swede right behind him of Bernson, and then you've got then you've actually got the reason that this race exists. Daniel Lee, he's right behind him as well, and you can see that big train of cars behind them as well. So this just goes to show, it may look like they're far on the mini-map, but realistically, all these guys are really close. As Oscar Bernson is going to go for the move down the inside into the final corner, and he will get through. That's nice and clean, and I have got to wonder, how will De La Flor be feeling like about that, as he's going to be coming right back at him down the main straight. Contact with the wall behind. Plenty of drivers going into it.
Hip and shoulder, De La Flor's in the wall.
2, and that almost takes out Daniel Lee in the process. What on earth happened there? And that is De La Flor, who is back to the pit lane. We will need a replay, but right now we got Danny Lee versus Bernson. Contact there into the first corner, but now this has given Danny Lee the opportunity, Matthew.
That's given Danny Lee the opportunity, hip and shoulder between Bernson and that of De La Flor, and that'll be De La Flor out of this race. You'd imagine Danny Lee now going side by side with Bernson, as we see the bit of action between Tyler Bosch and Strand in the background, but Danny Lee up the inside at the hairpin turn. Is he going to have this move done? Left for the first part, right for the second part. Danny Lee still side by side at the moment with Bernson. Tucks back in behind now, so he's going to fight that one another day. And look in the background there, you've got Tyler Bosch and Strandall going at it. Danny Lee having a look once more, and Bosch and Tyler side by side then as they come down in towards the middle sector of the lap. And this is absolutely great side-by-side racing here. We have seen a few incidents, and the incidents have all been similar nature. Drivers side-by-side with each other, just rubbing doors. Bosch gets past Tyler now, and will hopefully look to head after the race leaders. But Finoli managing to stay out front at the moment. This is what happened then. De La Flor, you see the wheel coming straight. Oh, there we go. It's Bernson who's come across De La Flor there. And I think Danny Lee also gave De La Flor a tap as he span across the front of him. You just saw the car lift up a little bit, whether that was a bump or Danny Lee just tapping him. But Bernson there definitely come across the bonnet of De La Flor. Look at De La Flor here, stay straight. Bernson's going to come across. Did Danny Lee give the Porsche a tap? No, he did not. So it must have just been a bump in the road that lifted the car up a little bit. So far, so good. So Danny Lee well avoided there, because he could have easily been collected in that one.
Saw the smoke being kicked up as well. Realistically, that car did, once the smoke was going up, the car didn't appear until last minute. So you can only wonder what was going through Daniel Lee's mind. As down into turn number 1 right now, that's Luke Andrews, who is on a defensive as he's got Elias Finoli, who's right behind him. But you got to be careful, because there is your race leaders. It is Corey Lazarus versus Felix Votter. We saw these two collide earlier on.
Finoli, what's happened to Finoli?
Yeah, what? But yeah, Finoli's
Finoli's dropped down to
P4.
P4, so he was in control of this race. He's dropped down to P4. We'll see if Simuli can bring up a replay of what has happened to Finoli there. But it's now Lazarus v Vota for the race lead, because Finoli's now behind that of Luke Andrews.
Something's happened there while we were looking at the replay of what happened with Burnson, Danny Lee, and that contact down into turn number 1. Speaking of Danny Lee, he's still up against Burnson right now as these two flip-flop all over the place. Garbardi also versus Clays further down the field. Here comes Danny Lee on the inside, Burnson now on the outside, heading down into the braking zone, into the right-hander, but as you know, it quickly switches left, so does Burnson have an advantage here as we go through the left-hander. One more time, keep it clean, but Danny Lee still alongside, he has that inside line, he will get in front, and that's the move done on Burnson, but Burnson without a doubt is going to start to fight back. Felix Vota right now, fastest man out there on the circuit.
This is maybe what happened to Finoli. We're on board with Lazarus at the moment. Vota still behind that of Saunders as well. So Vota's got ahead of Lazarus, and Finoli had a moment with each other there. So that's Lazarus getting past Finoli. So yeah, so just good overtaking there from Lazarus. So Felix Vota's really gained on the race leader then, 'cause he was right behind him a moment ago, but that was a great overtake from Lazarus on Finoli. And now if we look again, look, Felix Vota, this is a replay of him getting past Finoli. So Finoli, after the opening couple of laps, he has just started to lose a bit of momentum. Same place, same move, great stuff from Felix Vota up the inside. He went, and then Finoli tried to fight it back, couldn't do so. And obviously we've got Saunders who's going to end up past him as well. But a great bit of overtaking. Danny Lee now moving up into P5 and Finoli down into P4. Powell has got himself up into the top 10. He's the leader in the pro category. And Gabodi's now 11th, your leader in AM. And I say AM, it's Samuel Clark who's had a spin. That is out the final corner. And Samuel Clark then has had a moment on his own, down to 24th place now. And Vota and Lazarus are going at it up front once again.
Drivers have been going at it for quite a while now, and it's just one of the things that you love about sim racing, that you can go for so long. As Corey Lazarus is now on the defence, as here comes Felix Vota. He has had enough so far, and he now looks for it round the outside. These two starting a clash here at the halfway mark of the season, the two championship rivals from what we are seeing so far. And I'm going into the second half after this race. Round number 5 will be after round number 4 in 2 weeks' time, but right now we're live at Sebring, and they are up against each other. Corey Lazarus, though, just defending that position with all his might, but you gotta wonder, is he going to be using the opportunity, and could he possibly be trying to slow down Felix Vota that Luke Andrews is able to get past, and he's got a bit of a cushion between him and his championship rival?
I don't think it matters if he's backing Felix Vota up, because the queue is that tight that no matter what happens here, Andrews will attack him, Finoli will attack him, Vota will attack him, and it's going to be the nature of this race. He's gone right to the inside here to cover off the final corner. We've seen moves done around the outside. Felix Vota is going to try and look for that one. He could also try and get the up and under. Now Lazarus has got to leave enough space on the outside line for Felix Vota. He can't run him into the wall, and they stay together coming down towards turn 1. Can't come fully across because Vota's still there, and he realised that a little late on down the start straight, and Vota is going to be in the lead of this race because through turn 1 they go. Vota's got that inside line. He'll have that inside line in towards turn 2 as well. That is Saunders a little wide and off the track. Now here comes Vota up the inside of turn 2. Late on the brakes goes Lazarus, to the right, back to the left. Vota up the inside. Great move, job done. And Lazarus will have to fight another day.
Lazarus, it looks like he's already going to try back, but a little bit of a callback, a little bit sneaky, seemingly squeezing a little bit onto the same corner where Corey Lazarus squeezed Vota earlier, and now they go wheel to wheel. It's for a square between all the top 4 as they now go they go wheel to wheel, and has slight contact between them, and that is now going to be Felix Vota, who still holds on to that lead, but now it's Corey Lazarus as he's slightly ahead. Wheel to wheel as they now go into the braking zone, into the right-hander. It's the position flip-flops at a constant pace, but Luke Andrews also right there with him. Felix Vota now still alongside Corey Lazarus. He's up and against that rear right tyre of Corey Lazarus. So he's entitled to the space. Luke Andrews, though, possibly looking for a chance to slot in. He's up against them. He's biding his time. He's trying to come in, but it does not work out that time.
No, that's a great bit of driving between Votter and Lazarus. They're an epic battle as they come in towards Le Mans curve. Lazarus couldn't open the corner up as much as he'd have liked. Now, how does he defend it this time? Because Votter's already passed him around the outside, at the outside here once. What will Lazarus do? Again, he's gone to do pretty much the same. Here comes Votter with the overspeed of the slipstream, gets himself ahead. Oh, Lazarus nearly squeezing Votter onto the grass a little bit. He's going to have to leave that room on the outside line once again. I think he's just got a nose in front. Indeed he has. And Votter, did he just clip the wall? Because he's lost all momentum out the final corner. I think Votter clipped the outside wall.
Yeah, most definitely. We were riding on board with the car behind. That would be in a clip, most likely on the rear left. But he still keeps it. He's lost the momentum. That's going to make him fall now into the grips of Luke Andrews. As long as Luke Andrews can keep it tidy through this first sector. Possibly sector number 2 is where he could line it up. But seemingly falling behind a little bit as Felix Votter going all over that curve on the inside. Practically getting the underboard straight on top of it. And you can see in that first sector, most of those first curbs are rised up out of the ground, not kind of reminiscent, they're kind of just smaller versions than the ones you see around Nordschleife. But coming out the hairpin into the quick left-hander, little chicane, as Matthew does call it, and then now we're going to be up against them. But Corey Lazarus with a little bit of a margin. Felix Votter is not giving it up though, and I'm just going to say, Elias Spinoli has had a front row seat to all of this, and he's going to want to get involved in this very soon, without any doubt, because we are just about getting to the halfway mark of this race.
We are indeed, and Lazarus and Votter fighting tooth and nail at the moment. Andrews and Finoli still there. Danny Lee just behind. He's still got Burnson with him within a couple of tenths of a second. And great fights up and down the grid, but this four-way fight for the race lead is fantastic. As we said, we're approaching that halfway stage of the race. I think we may get a moment just to bring in the final sponsor sort of readout of the day. Evolution Sim Racing is the host community. Danny has chosen the Evolution Sim Racing community as host of the Danny Lee Porsche Cup by GT Omega. ESR runs multiple well-run leagues of variety of disciplines. Head to discord.gg/ESR as Felix Votter's getting closer to join their community and take part in one of their series. That is all the sponsors and partners of this fantastic championship. And thank you all for being with us during this race. As Felix Votter pretty much pushing Lazarus down the start straight. Going to go to the outside of turn 1. He's tried this several times before and it hasn't worked. And Lazarus will and Votter will try once again. Looking though for the up and under. Has Lazarus gone a little deep? Did Votter do it right? No, he didn't. We stay as we were. And Votter's just trying different things at the moment.
Yeah, you just saw on that last lap, on the entry onto this first lap, going as wide as he possibly could to try and get as much momentum as Ice Mazomo, who has had a moment, and they are off in the grass on the exit of turn number coming into sector on the exit of turn number 1, and we will get a replay here. What has happened to Mazomo? He's got Gabardi right in front of him, and another driver right behind him, and there was contact. Off, boom, into the barrier as well. A little bit of a kiss onto the white and blue, but luckily enough, he is still going in this race, just losing out a lot of positions with the Windows 98.
Yeah, so Mazomo at the moment. You probably don't know what Windows 98 was, do you? I bet he wasn't even born in 98.
In 2005.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. That is Brian Alvarez into the pit lane for the pit stops. Then, so maybe just pulling the trigger now as Lazarus and Votter still going at it. They've dropped it. Saunders has gone with him. Andrews has just gone with them. They've dropped Finoli in this race. So Finoli's just lost all pace later on in this race as it's got later and later. And Andrews now pushing Votter down the straight. They come down the back straight once again. No DRS as we're in the Porsche Cup cars, not in the Formula cars. So ignore the DRS boards. And pulled out now does Votter on Lazarus. He's tried this before. He's done this before. Can he do it again? He's just got to keep that nose alongside Lazarus to make sure that Lazarus can't squeeze him to the wall. And no, he can't again. Lazarus managing to defend well. Bosch has got ahead of Bernson, so Bosch is getting on the back of Bernson and Danny Lee in behind. And look, we're nearly 3 abreast down in towards turn 1. Votter's going to try and go the long way round again. Is it going to work for him? Andrew still waiting in the wings at the moment, and still Votter and Lazarus going hammer and tong. Votter's now got a nose in front, coming through turn 2. This is where Lazarus has put Votter on the grass before. Votter manages to fight him harder this time, round the outside. This is where Lazarus got back ahead of Votter. Votter's still there, and is he now going to try and hang on into this race lead? It's all go at the minute. Burns is now in the pits. Andrew's near enough pushing that of Lazarus to get side by side with Votter as they come down towards a hairpin turn. Felix Votter once again late on the brakes goes Lazarus, goes deep does Lazarus. Votter's through. Here comes Andrews, who's now got the nose alongside. Finoli's back in this fight as well, and Andrews with a little wiggle from Lazarus is now side by side with the man from New Zealand. Lazarus and Andrews going hammer and tong, and Andrews manages to back out of that one as Lazarus chops the nose off coming into the corner, but he went deep at the hairpin. He cost himself the race lead.
I think there was a little bit of contact there as well, only slight though, between Andrews and Lazarus, but like you said, that has given a major opportunity for Felix Votter, who has now been able to get up and into the race lead. Corey Lazarus tried to hang on to it, but that caused him to go deep, so that is a key factor. And like we said earlier, Matthew, when you get into these battles, it causes those behind you to catch up. At the start of this lap, it looked like Finoli had been dropped, but look at him now. He's back in this fight as we watch Felix Votter with 3 astern, and Elias Finoli is practically all over Luke Andrews' stern.
Yeah, he is as well. And look in the background, Danny Lee, Bernson and Bosch all having a bit of a scrap as well. Here is Finoli as they come through the final corner. Then anybody going to dive into the pit lane? No, they're not. And this is Bernson and Bosch going side by side round the final corner. Bosch in the blue and orange with Bernson in the white and yellow coming down the start straight. Berntson's going to have the inside line coming in towards turn number 1. Here he comes, and Bernson trying to get back ahead of the Swiss driver, and he does indeed. Lovely bit of racing there. Blair and Reyes exchange places for 13th and 14th overall. That is possible podium places though in that pro category, and Bosch has to fight another day. This race at the minute, Lexi, is anybody's guess.
Yeah, with everything that we've seen so far, it is all over the place. You can see right there the leaders of each category. For Elite, it is Felix Votter. For Pro, it is Dan Powell. And for AM, it is Gabardi. And that is what you currently stand as. It's Felix Votter overall, followed by Lazarus P2, Andrews P number 3. And then rounding out the top 10 is Dean Powell for, of course, the Pro category. And then Gabardi, actually, for AM, is the position behind him. So P10 downwards is a bit of a checkerboard. Top 9 complete elite.
Yeah, top 9 complete elite drivers. Mizomo, the next one, down in 19th place, and this is a really crucial part of this race because pit stops have started to take shape here, and drivers have started to make their stops. This is going to be crucial for as this race goes by. Only several of them on the lead lap. We have lost several drivers down the order, Delafleur being one of them from the elite category. This is Edric Reyes, P14, fighting that of Blair just in front at the moment. And this could have ramifications in terms of the podium place at the end of today's race. Obviously, leading the way is Powell in Pro, then it's Steve Clays, Blair, from then Reyes just behind. So this could be for that final 3rd spot in the podium. And let's see what will happen here. But it's Votter from Lazarus as Reyes and Blair side by side towards the final corner here. What's going to happen? And Reyes gets in front. So actually that was done pretty easy by Reyes there.
Clean and nice and tidy, but anything can happen. Of course, with that big old barrier there on the right hand side of the screen, we saw Votter touch it a little bit earlier on in this race, so it can be a little bit tricky, especially at that final corner if you're trying to go for the moves. Felix Votter now also nearly 5/10 in front of Corey Lazarus, so the top 4 that we were seeing, they're still right there with each other, but the gaps are starting to open up a little bit. Maybe the tyres starting to go off. The because we are, like you said, Matthew, we are approaching that pit stop window. That's if any of these drivers do end up coming in for tyres, or maybe just a bit of a splash and dash. But I would say, if you're coming in, you would want to be taking tyres. As right now we do see Bosch actually nice and tidy down the inside of Berndsen. Here comes George Tyler, nice and easy on the inside through that corner, but Berndsen is right there with him. Double file through the right-hander. Berndsen up against Tyler, into the left-hander, and then onto the exit as well. Through these drivers will now come the Swede versus the Brit, but it looks like it's George Tyler who will stay ahead of Berndsen at this moment in time. The Cube Controls Reparto course driver putting up a major defensive play with the fans cheering them on here this evening.
Yeah, what a race it's been throughout this whole entire night. Let's be honest, 30 minutes gone, there's 15 minutes left. It's been absolutely fantastic by every driver out there at the moment. And this is George Tyler for P7, fending off out of Berndsen and Strand in this one, with Bosch just in front and Danny Lee not far in front as well. So for Tyler, he's really come to play in this one with Strand, hasn't he? Because it was a three-way fight a moment ago. Now it's turned into a 4-5-way fight. But it's still Lazarus who's pulled away from Andrews out front. Sorry, Votter out front with taking Lazarus with him. They've pulled away from Andrews and Finoli a little bit. And what a race this is turning out to be. Matt Strand at the moment down in 9th place. And at the back of this train of elite driver cars, trying to get himself more points. And obviously, we know at the end of the season, points mean prizes. So that is what they're all going to be playing for at the end of this season. But it's Votter from Lazarus from Andrews, your top three. Leader is Powell in Pro, and Cabodi is the leader in the AM class. But this is your fight for 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the theme this evening, Andrew. Not Andrew. Matthew. I have no idea why I said Andrew. Matthew. As it seems like it's the theme this evening, because we've had a 4-way fight for the lead, and now we're seeing a 4-way fight for P number 6. So it seems like that's the theme this evening, which personally I am not against, as we see Daniel Lee there just in front of him. So at this current rate, it could turn into a 5-way fight for P number 5.
Yeah, it could indeed. We'll see what Danny Lee can do. He has just slowly been creeping away from these 4 behind him. But he has lost pace to that off Finoli in this race at the moment. So let's keep an eye on what Danny Lee can do and see what he can manage to pull out here at the end of this race. 32 minutes to go. We've got 13 minutes or just under 30 minutes left in this race. Anything can happen at the moment. The gap is still 5 tenths between the leaders, and here with Danny Lee. He's looking rather strong at the moment as we head in towards Snetterton in 2 weeks' time. Back to the 2 20-minute races, should I say. And it's going to be all crucial there. And obviously, if you want to keep up to date with anything on the Apex Racing TV channel, make sure you join us live all week long as we bring in so many different races and so much different action and drama, not just here at the Sebring International Race Circuit. Then it is fantastic to see these Porsche Cup cars go around here. And Felix Votter in the thick of the fights he has been today. But here's Edric Reyes and Wiley Blair then going at it down towards the final corner. This is what will possibly be for the final podium in that pro category. And Blair and Reyes still going at it. Blair in that orange and black car on the left hand side of your screen, and Reyes back up the inside in towards turn 1. And at the moment, I think we've got a bit of a calm, Lexi, before the storm in the final 5 or 10 minutes as Blair got the up and under, and looks up the inside into turn 2, not fully alongside. Great respect from Reyes, though, didn't need to leave the gap, but he did.
Yeah, a little bit of jeering there as he went over the curb back onto the circuit. Like you were saying, calm before the storm. I would say so as well, because few of the drivers coming in for pit stops, so it's going to be interesting. But this will not be calm. That's Burns versus Rodriguez as they now head down the main straight. It's going to be wheel-to-wheel action. It is not for it's for overall position, but not overall in class, as it is a pro versus an AM. But maybe a little bit of bragging rights, saying I got this overtake on the track. I got just a little bit of bragging rights, because let's be honest, who doesn't love doing a little overtake, even if it isn't for points?
Yeah, you're gonna want to just try and make up and just, it's kind of a test session if you're out the points or out the podium places in your category now. But this is your race leaders, and that's Felix Votter in the multicoloured car out front with the white car behind of Lazarus. Then you're seeing Andrews and Finoli, and then that great big train behind, which Danny Lee has now kind of been suckered into a little bit here. Look, he's been caught by that of Bosch, who's brought Tyler Burtson and Strand with him. So entering into that final 10 minutes of this race, Danny Lee has been pulled into this one.
Yeah, it's been pulled into it, and it's going to be interesting to see what will happen here. Like we said earlier, they're going to catch up, and it's now a 5-way fight for P number 5. It's Daniel Lee versus Bosch versus Tyler versus Burnson versus Strand. So it's all to play for. It's Daniel Lee leading with 4 astern in this fight, of course, for the top 4 P number 5 to round out the top 5, and heading through sector 1 now. It's like a conga line. They're all getting each other's line absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and with under 10 minutes to go now, I think this is where we're going to see maybe some last gasp moves at the moment. This could be a crucial bit of racing here, and I think we've got a little bit to see what will happen in this race. I think we're going to be in for a juicy final stage of it, as Bosch having a look up the inside, kind of like a half look, half defend from Bosch on that of Tyler and Danny Lee. But Votter and Lazarus at the moment, they have pulled away out front. They have done the business they've needed to do, and they've got 3 seconds now to Andrews. And Andrews got a good gap back to Finoli. So them top 3 look like that's your podium runners. Lazarus keeping Votter under pressure, but it's between these 5 for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. This is the fight we're currently watching. This is the fight we're invested in at the moment, because this could be really interesting to see who goes where. And again, points on offer at the end of the day for that championship as we enter the midway stage of the season.
Yeah, we're in the midway stage of the season. That's where the points are going to be. That's where the points will definitely be looked at by all the drivers. Look at them, see who's been getting all the best points in the first half, see who you're up against, and maybe figure out where you want to finish. Of course, everybody wants to finish P number 1, but sometimes you have to look at it, and you may look at it, and you may look at other drivers around you, say, this is my fight with this driver, as we look at Matt Strand trying to get past Burnson. These two have been fighting practically this entire race, and Matt Strand is now going to be on the outside, but he goes to the inside line, onto the outside one more time, maybe an up and under, as you would call it, Matthew, but no, going to slot in behind, catch the slipstream, maybe have another shot down the main straight, as Daniel Lee is on a defensive. He's got Stefan Bosch in the blue and orange up against him. Through the first corner, they will go all over the rear end of that white, blue and yellow Porsche. Danny Lee's Porsche right in front of him. Here comes George Tyler right up against him as well. We didn't realise he was there. He was in Bosch's blind spot, but luckily enough, they keep it clean. Tyler unable to get past, but he's made it clear that he's got the intentions and he wants to get by.
Yeah, George Tyler there really trying to make a move here. Bosch as well looking on the back of that of Danny Lee. There's a car slow. Not sure who that was. That is Clive Davis just parked on the inside there. So Danny Lee went to go defensive. Manages to not hit the back of Clive Davis there as he is stopped on the track. Danny Lee now from Bosch, from Tyler, from Burtson and Strand. Burtson and Strand just losing touch a little bit at the moment, as Danny Lee doing the job he needs to do. He's up one place. We're coming in towards that final 7 minutes. 38 minutes gone on the clock, and it's Votter from Lazarus, from Andrews, Finoli, Danny Lee, Bosch, Tyler, Burtson and Strand. This is the fight we're watching, and Danny Lee now, who looked pretty comfortable a lap or two ago, now under pressure.
Yeah, so it's now under pressure, and it's in these final moments where pressure can begin to make moments crumble and make the cars crumble, because you've been going at this race for 38 minutes 45 seconds now. The adrenaline is without a doubt pumping, and like you said before, Matthew, a little bit of desperation, maybe a few Hail Marys going into these final 10, going into the final 5 minutes, as of course we've got just over a minute until the final 5. So the adrenaline's pumping, and you want to get as many positions in these final moments as possible. But for Danny Lee, he's got a 5-second gap to the next car ahead. So Danny Lee right now is the one who has to defend, because he knows he's got all these drivers behind him, unless he's gaining an absolute margin each lap, he is not going to be getting P number 4. So right now the defensive play is what Danny Lee is having to play. He can't really hide his hand when he's in this position.
No, he can't hide his hand, but he's doing a fantastic job of defending at the moment. And Liam Bosch just pulling away from Tyler now. So Tyler's dropped back into that of Berntsen and Strand here at this stage of the race, coming in towards the final 5 minutes left. Tyler just dropping off the back of Bosch and Danny Lee. And here is Berntsen having a look, getting very close to the rear. This is where the tyres are going to start to feel tired. Fuel loads will be getting lighter in this race. And Votter from Lazarus still within 7/10. I just don't think Lazarus has got anything left in the tank now, as here comes Berntsen to the outside line. And that is not a real attack, more just a little defend from Tyler there. Let's look at Danny Lee. He's coming under pressure from that. A Bosch, it looked like there. Bosch now took back in behind. So all as we were, with 5 minutes left of this race to go. And what a race it has been here at Sebring. This is Gabodi fighting with that of Steve Clays. So Steve Clays, P12, second overall in that pro category, fighting with the AM leader here, and is looking to try and make up one extra place. Obviously, there's no points for overall in this championship. It is points per category, per class, Elite, Pro and AM. So it's not extra points for Steve Clays, but it's the enjoyment of a good fight.
Yeah, well, it may be the enjoyment of a good fight, but the key thing here, if he's got the pace and he thinks he can go for it, Dean Powell is right there. He is just ahead of him as we go over to Danny Lee right now, and Stefan Bosch once again having a skirmish onto the exit of the final corner, and that is Stefan Bosch who gets past Danny Lee. He's one position down from where he started, but it's up into P number 5 now. Started P4, sits P5. George Tyler, Danny Lee's fallen. Danny's lost both. Did he get a bad opportunity there? Did he opt for the outside line at turn number 1? I think he did, and that just opened up the inside for the rest of the drivers.
I'm not sure what's happened there, but Danny Lee got a horrible run out the final corner down the start straight, and that has cost him that to Tyler and Berntsen, who had dropped off the back, if you remember rightly, a moment ago. So that's put Bosch up into P5. They're not really going to gain anything else left here. There's only 3 minutes left of this race. You can't see the gaining anymore. And Danny Lee, again, losing out to Strand there. So not sure what happened to Danny Lee. Strand's gone deep at the hairpin. This is a replay of what has happened to Danny Lee then. So he's on the back of Bosch. Everything looks normal.
Yeah, it looks normal. He goes for the outside.
Has he got a wheel problem? Has he got a technical issue?
It may be, because that looked... With the speed he had, he should have made that corner, but maybe not a tech issue, maybe just wheel slip, because he went he was able to make the corner wider, but that was very wide.
The reason I say this is if you look at the speedo there, Lex, if you look at his onboard dash, he was only slowly going down the gears, not like he was hitting the brakes or anything. I'm not sure. Look, there's no lights appearing. Not sure. I'm wondering if he's just suffering with a bit of a technical pedal problem or something there. But Danny Lee has lost 4 places within the space of half a lap, and hopefully he'll be able to try and fight back through the pack. Will Danny Lee there? Then this is Kachos, who's been in the thick of a few fights today, fighting against fellows for 26th and 27th overall in this race as we approach into the final 2 minutes. So when the leaders come across the line, it will be the final lap of the race. In fact, the leaders are on that lap, so they may just squeeze in one more, as there is Votter. It'll be a tight one for sure.
Yeah, it'll be a tight one. This may be penultimate, or next may be penultimate. We'll have to wait and see. But right now it's Felix Votter, followed by Corey Lazarus, and Luke Andrews rounds out the podium. Then Finoli Bosch, Tyler Berntsen, Strand, Danny Lee rounds out the top 9, and the elite drivers, apart from Mazomo, who's down in P number 18. Dean Powell sits P number 10 to round out the top 10. He's top in pro, and Gabardi sits P number 12. He is top in AM. So 43 minutes, 52 seconds done so far. It's a 50-minute time. It's a 45-minute timer for this race. So it's going to be a tight one, I would say, for the leaders if they're going to get another lap in.
Matt Wright says, what a race and what a comms team, best in the business. I also had a text message off of Matt Wright, who me and Lexi know personally. Obviously, I brought up Lexi's sim rig, and he said, he texted me, you bully Matthew Duffin, poor Lexi and her rig. Oh. Don't know what I said wrong, so I'm sure we'll debrief with Matt Wright later on this evening as we come through seeing Dean Powell, P10. Good evening, Matt. Thanks for tuning in as well, by the way. Thanks for the support. And I'm sure Lexi obviously appreciates that one as well. But Dean Powell, P10 overall. Cabody did lose out to Clays, P11 now for Clays, chasing after Powell, but it's just too little too late for Steve Clays to get ahead. This is that of Fellows looking around the outside. And it gets the move done on the outside of the Greek driver. He's gone a little wide, and back up the inside comes Kachios as they now go side by side back down the start straight here. Then as we come towards the checkered flag, is Votter going to get another lap in? Over the line he goes. He just crosses the line with 7 seconds left to get one more lap in here. Oh no, they've crossed the line to finish. So apologies, they have crossed the line to finish. Votter wins then from Lazarus from Andrews with Finoli. The time is going from 53 to 54, so that's what's threw me off there. Bosch P5 from Tyler, Bernson-Strand, Danny Lee. Powell will come across for P10 and to win in the pro category. Clay's 11th with Gabodi P12 winning in the AM class. Great win and a great drive from Gabodi. Reyes 13th, Blair P14 from Macduff and Saunders. As we await them to cross the line. We've got Kenyon as well, who will be second in that AM class. A little fight here between Blow and Pierce. Late on in the race, Kenyon 17th, second in class. Mizomo 18th. Blow will come across for 19th. And Pierce here will get that final podium spot in the AM category then to finish off the top three. And it was Reyes who held off Blair for the top three in the pro category. Samuel Clark having a fight then with Burns, AM versus pro, to have a final fight here at the final corner. And through they come now. Oh, no, Clark's lost it in the rear. The final corner, Clark has dropped the rear and gone around. And that's give Burns a place, Rodriguez a place in class. Clark will come through from not 21st but 23rd. Graham Vivas will get 24th place. We've then got Junker coming through in the background. And then I believe Kachios, Fellows and Davis are the last three to finish this race. But what a race it was. And it was really absolutely fantastic between not only the top four, but then the next five after that.
Yeah, I mean, we can very easily split this race from what we were seeing into three different sections. First section, battle for the top four battle for P number 1. Second section, battle four-way fight, which turned into a five-way fight for P number 5, and then the rest of the grid battles with a few contacts there, which, considering there was only, realistically, across this race, there was only a few contacts, 2 big ones, and then a few little minor ones, but otherwise, it was a pretty clean race, which I would say is very impressive with how bumpy this circuit is. But there is your race winner, Felix Votter, and he will take this one home, and that is his second race win this season.
Yep, first double winner of the season as we head in towards Snetterton in a fortnight's time. Felix Votter had a great win, was P3, even dropped to P4 at one stage, fought back to win the race, and we'll hopefully speak with a few of the drivers in the interview room very, very shortly. But a great day for Felix Votter. We'll bring you full classifications of the final results as well in a few moments' time. But Snetterton up next in a fortnight's time. Back to the two races in that one, Lexi, the 2 short sprint races. There, what do we expect to see from Snetterton?
Well, it's very different. When a lot of people look at Snetterton, it's a very different circuit. It's a club circuit, and it's known to be a club circuit. I do believe we'll be using the 300 layout. Somebody may correct me on that, but I do believe we'll be using the 300 layout. So that is the entirety of the circuit, including the infield part. But we'll wait and see what will happen here. As Elias Finoli, as Chat said, had an amazing start. We will get a replay on this as we wait for the drivers to look for an interview. But look at that, an amazing start straight off the line 2 positions. Of course, he had Lazarus come up on him right on the exit of the first corner. But other than that, it was, of course, Finoli got an amazing start on that, and props to the Swede, because that was one heck of a race. He kept it nice. He actually kept it pretty clean, unfortunately losing out to the leaders round about the midway part, but other than that, he was still within the top 5, and that was nice and clean overall. Props to him.
Yeah, great start from him at the beginning of the race, and what a drive it was. Final classifications, though, in the elite category, Felix Votter was your race winner from Corey Lazarus. Luke Andrews rounded out the podium with Elias Finoli, Stefan Bosch, George Taylor, Oscar Burnson, Matt Strand, Danny Lee, Simon Mizomo, and we did lose Alejandro Della Flor in that race. Your pro results then as follows. Dean Powell with the race win from Steve Clays. Edric Reyes, P3 in that one. Wiley Blair was fourth with Christopher McDuff. Rhys Saunders, Luke Blow, Jesper Burns. We lost Shannon Fever. They was 10 laps down. And Ben Altria was 22 laps down as well. And in the AM category then, we have Avesta Gabodi, your race winner from Martin Kenyon. Mike Pierce rounded out the podium in AM from Francisco Rodriguez. Samuel Clark, Graham Vivers, Ed Juncker from Fortis Cachos, Andrew Fellows from Clive Davies, Brian Alvarez, Jeremy Walsh, and John Ludbrook. We lost from the race. And that then is your full classifications of all three categories. We do have Felix Votter waiting in the interview room, so we'll pull him in now. Felix, first of all, congratulations. What a race win that was. It looked like you was in such a great battle for the entirety of that race.
Thanks, man. Yeah, definitely. This fight has been crazy. I don't know. I'm so done right now.
Just talk us through it, because it looked like between yourself and Lazarus that, it got a little orgy-borgy, I'm going to say. There was a little pushing and shoving going on in the middle part of the race, but you managed to keep it so clean as well between the pair of you. It was great respect.
Yeah, definitely. It was like, I mean, I know that Corey we kind of have a ping situation there because he's from Australia, so there's gonna be some netcode contact or stuff like that. I know about that, but it still was so amazing. There was a little bit of pushing, but that's Porsche Cup. It's all right. Yeah. No one died, and that was just amazing.
Talk us through it, because at one stage he was down in P4 behind a few of the other drivers, that of Finoli and Andrews, and then all of a sudden you got past Finoli, you got past Andrews, he was on the back of Lazarus again, and then managed to get the move for the lead.
Yeah, it was a tough start though. I didn't expect to start that bad, but shit happens. And then I just tried to get closer again. I lost the position because I had a little bit of a slowdown. And yeah, it was tough, but I knew I have to move quick to stay close to Corey because he has a great pace on this track. And I guess he knew that I might pull away if I'm in front of him. So yeah, the fight was pretty much on from there.
It was on indeed. We head to Snetterton in a couple of weeks' time. What do you think you could do around Snetterton? A completely different circuit to this one.
I actually don't know. I have to practice a lot for that because I never really drove in Snetterton, especially with the Porsche Cup. On the other side, now we have that rain race in there. And, well, I'm usually pretty confident in the rain, but we're starting reverse grid there. So, yeah, this is going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. If you haven't practiced Snetterton, I'd get on that because if you ask me, it's probably Britain's second worst circuit on the out of all the British tracks you could race at. I'd say that's Britain's second worst. So I'd make sure you get some practice in. Finally, anybody you'd like to thank today?
Yeah, I guess I just have to thank Corey here for this amazing battle. It was so great. It was fair but hard. And it was just an amazing feeling there. I'm sweating like crazy right now. And it was amazing. It was a lot of fun.
Well, Felix, congratulations. Race winner today, Felix Votter.
Thanks. Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye. And that then, Felix Votter, your race winner in this one then. And apologies if there was any language picked up. Let's see. We've got Steve Clays waiting. Do you want to take that one?
Yes, of course we can. As Steve Clays, you are live on Apex Racing TV. Congratulations in that race. A very good one from what we saw. What was it like for you out there? P number 11 and, if I'm correct, a pro win or pro podium, if I am correct.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, it was a good race for me. I think I could have beaten Dean, who got first, but I got a little bit held up by the leader in amateur, and yeah, it was a little hard to pass, and then I got somebody who spun in T1 for me, and then I lost it. I think he gained three seconds on me, and it was very hard to retake that position.
Yeah, we saw that. You were towards the end of the race. You were actually behind Gabodi. So with Dean Powell in front of him, it looked like you were trying to push towards the end of that race. So talk us through that little battle with Gabodi to try and hopefully get up, because it's P number 2 overall for you in Pro, with of course Dean Powell P number 1, but P2 not a bad result. How was that battle with Gabodi?
Well, it was a fair battle. Nothing against it. He defended his position, which is his right. But I was faster, and I saw that Dean tried a few times too, and he passed from the first try. And I just wanted to follow, but Gabodi, he blocked me, defended, whatever. No problem. And then when I had a real shot on him, I don't know what turn it is, but he totally went wide while I was next to him. So I ran into the grass. I was like, oh, hello, I'm there. And then I got passed by, I don't know, who spun in front of me again at turn 1. So it was a fair fight. But after the lost time, I really had to push to try to get at least one position. I couldn't get Dean. I was faster, but it was still, I think, 5 seconds between. So that was impossible. And then at the end, Gabodi just let me pass. I flashed him and I was so, okay, I'm coming, and he let me pass, so that's okay.
Fair enough. And Snetterton in a fortnight's time. Very different circuit to this one. Club circuit, has any practice gone into Snetterton so far, or how do you think that's going to be, as of course going back to 2 25-minute races, one with reverse grid?
Well, first, when it came out on the service, I really hated it because I couldn't get around it. I didn't figure the track out, and then I think it's 3 seasons ago, I really focused on it, and then I got really better. So I didn't practice yet because I have another 2 league races this week, so I'm quite busy. So I didn't practice, but it should work out. I love it. I know how it should be raced, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that is great news, and good luck in those. Before we let you go, is there anybody else that you would like to give a shout out to?
Well, to all my competitors in the class, first of all, and then you guys for broadcasting and doing all the work. So thank you very much.
No worries. We'll leave you to it. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
That was Steve Clayton, then, who finished 2nd place in the Pro category. And it looks like that is all we have for the interviews tonight. No one else has yet jumped in with us to have a chat, so we will end it there. Thank you once again to everybody who has tuned in tonight and watched the Daniel Lee Porsche Cup. Round 4 is done. We head to Snetterton in a fortnight's time. Thank you once again to Alexa Marshall, who joined me in the commentary box, and the man behind the microphone that you can't hear but we can, Samuli, for the cameras and the replays once again. Lexi, been a pleasure.
Have you back, my man. It's good to have you back. As of course we've got Snetterton coming up in a fortnight's time. That was one heck of a race, let's be honest, Matthew. But we'll round it out here, shall we? Because we've had Smiley in the background bringing you the camera shots. Matthew Duffin, Alexa Marshall. We'll see you at Snetterton. Good night.
Good night.